Recording. Welcome to Renaissance Explorers Outer Space. This is the 5th episode, I believe. I'm going to open up this one. We're going to do breath work because there's a lot of stuff to cover today, and we can activate ourselves a little bit so we can take it all on. So if you would like to, this is all an invitation. You can also just turn off your camera and not do any of this if you want. But if you're joining, if you could stand up, we're going to get a lot of space in our chest and bodies. We spend a lot of time sitting down, some of us. We're going to be opening up our arms and closing them. And as we do, we're expanding and pushing out the chest. We're trying to get as much capacity in our lungs as possible. And then we breathe out and we force that out and we, so it goes, and just really active and moving with it, okay? So we're just gonna do about 60 of these, and then after you've really activated your body, just close your eyes, stand there, and just drift into the bliss for a minute. I'm gonna play some really chill music whilst we do this, which is gonna be weird, so you're not gonna hear it anyway, because you're gonna be breathing really loud. But it'll be there for us when we close our eyes. All right. And go. Okay. If you feel like keeping your eyes closed, that's cool too. All right, so that's a little hack for me to actually, build up the energy to hold this space really well. So basics of regenerative organizing. We're going to dive more into section 1, but before we do that, we just did our drop-in. We'll start off today with doing our Explorer group sharing. So if any Explorer groups met this week, if anyone was able to distill a proposal out of what we're going to call the game guide and what we're going to call participants of it, or a comms agreement, if someone was able to distill that and form a proposal. And I believe there was one more, yes. And if anyone has any definitive things they want to share about the visitor, resident, citizen flow. So those are 3 different topics. So if you have anything to say about either of those 3 topics, go ahead and just put your hand up. We will call on you. All right, sorry, I'm jumping in right into agenda 1, still be putting your hand up. But after that, we're gonna dive into a breakout session and explore the visitor, resident, citizen one more time. So actually, let's not share it in this introduction. We'll just wait till the breakouts and then come back, and any last things that we have for that flow, we can cohere them and put them right into the game guide as we go over this. Then we're just going to continue going into section 1, and we're going to discover some more topics to have breakout groups about. We're going to have a breakout group, come back, harvest, and we'll end the flow for today. Before we get going, is there any proposed ideas to shift this agenda, any agenda items we feel like we need to add or take away or anything? Just unmute yourself.
I have that.
Yep, what's that?
Can I take over half of the session in order to talk about the proposition for co-proposal? I want to do a quick presentation about what the co-proposal that I envision for the Renaissance Explorers will be, and then go into breakout rooms for each section. There are 4 sections of the co-proposal, and discuss, and then get some harvest and feedback from everyone about it. Maybe I should have talked with you earlier about this.
Yeah,
Righty.
that's fine. This is perfect. We go with the flow. So if we want to take half of today's session and go over the co-op proposal, so the proposal that Renaissance Explorers could be making to Seeds to get funding for us being here. If you would not want to do that and you would instead go over into section 1 and dive deeper into that, put up a heart. If you do want to do that proposal and go over that, put up a thumbs up. These are the little reaction emojis that we can all make. So thumbs up if we want to do co-op stuff. Seen a lot of thumbs up. No hearts so far. That feels pretty unanimous then. Cool. Thanks for throwing up a token heart. That was good. Thanks, Michael. Not thanks, just kidding. Yes, so we're going to take the second half to go over that then. So then the first topic breakout, instead of just being about visitor, resident, citizen flow, have it be about any part of the organizing in section 1 that we've thought about so far. So if there's anything that you want to bring up about section 1, do it in that breakout group. Cool, so that's awesome. Any other agenda item shifts? That's a pretty substantial one. John?
Yeah, not an agenda item shift, just I put in the chat the link to the document that you had started for capturing the breakout groups last time. And I did a little work consolidating underneath that kind of a beginning of a proposal development, just if people want to refer to that before they, or as they go into the breakout session.
Awesome, awesome. Does anyone have anything they would like to share that they developed or worked on during the week and they feel like they need to share with the group? If yes, put your hand up. Julio, you have yours. Take it away.
Yeah, so regarding the name change for the game guide, we advanced a little bit. We kind of had a poll, but not too many votes yet on the name. And then I'd like to mention that in the co-op proposal that Apostol is going to bring, there is actually a proposal to better handle the exploration groups so that they can be more focused and focused towards delivering a proposal to change the guide. And because for now it's becoming kind of abstract how the groups are expected to deliver the work. So we also intend to have like a proposal template that the groups can fill, and that kind of concludes the work of the group. And yeah, so that could help with the clarity on how to proceed with the exploration groups. So that's what I had to say. Thank you.
Yeah,
that's probably for them.
Thanks for bringing that up. We actually just got off the Hypha Tuesday call where Julio, you presented a proposal for the Renaissance Explorers 14. So that's to get funding for there to be folks who are actually holding the space for each one of these sections of the game guide. Because this is getting overwhelming. This is well beyond my capacity or any reasonable human's capacity. Even if all they were doing was just the game guide, I think it's too much for one person to be the editor. So we need one person for each one of the sections who's being the editor for that section. They're the one condensing all the information, making sure proposals are actually formed, coordinating the space. And this is going to take a lot of energy and commitment, and that's why it's a paid position. The idea is that people are going to be able to meet your needs and be able to commit to this. So that's a proposal that's up in Hypha right now, and we'll be able to report back next week if that was passed or not. And we can spend more time in next week's session talking about the core team and what that actually looks like and all the commitments involved in that, etc. Cool. Anything else that we might have before we dive into a breakout group? Any thoughts or questions or feedback or anything on what was shared so far? Cool. All right, so then we're gonna dive into some breakout groups. I'd say maybe 3 people per group. Awesome. So this is a general harvest. We'll be in there for 10 minutes, and this is anything you want to bring to the table related to section 1 of the game guide, and any changes you think might need to have been made, or anything we missed, or anything we could add, anything that's unnecessary. It's very general and broad, because this is what's going to help inform our focus groups throughout the week. Is that pretty clear? Does anyone else have anything they want to add to that they feel would be really important for us to break out on? Cool. Then I will see you all in 10 minutes.
Hi, Tina. Hi, Rafael.
Hi, Raphael. Ricky.
Hey.
Hello, hello. Generally speaking, just ignore me. I'm going to be hopping to rooms and recording. So pretend like I am not here. I'm here to listen.
Okay, we'll do so. Hey, nice to see you, Tina. Rafael, are you here with us? Maybe not yet. Hey, Tina, would you like to share anything on the citizen journey?
I just became a citizen. That was amazing. Yeah, I'm back and forth on that. I feel like I don't know, I'm almost satisfied with the way things are, just because it does add that level of difficulty, and sort of requires you to sort of revisit and help the people who you've invited, into the process. And so it really does give you that extra having to reach out to an actual human in an actual place. So I feel like that needs to be protected somewhat, even though there could be some mechanisms in place that help people to navigate that a little better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
curious
to change things.
I'm curious about your journey. Like, how long did it take for you to get to see?
Hi, Reiki. So yeah, I love understanding how to coexist in harmony, and so I support sustainability, education for sustainability, and I've been drawn to the ecosystem, to see the ecosystem more than 6 months already. So in January, and I've been supporting, I think the Meet Citizens. So this is a little piece about me.
Record. Oh God, why?
Hello, right.
Oh, hi. Então, contribution scholar. Oh, sorry.
Not which section we should the first one, but in the 1, 2, everything is a whole. Or I didn't read, but we write here. Here.
Section 1 is just, it's kind of like all inclusive. It's once you start looking at what does it take to get to citizen, then you're into, and what does it take to become reputable organization, now you're into all the buckets of how to assess each one of those things. So it's a big undertaking.
Yeah, and the whole reputation thing is also like, it's quite like big. I actually had an idea about the contribution scores and the reputation, that I will think if I have energy to actually start an exploration group about that, but to basically connect it outside of the forum and the transactions and the referendum, maybe connected to the Discord server, because right now we have like the accounts. We know we know the seeds account of the people who are on the Discord server because of the gratitude token. So we can actually like track their engagement in the Discord server, and that could reflect the reputation of the people. So that's
this starts to get a little difficult, because I mean, what if people choose not to use Discord? Are we requiring that they use a particular platform to connect with other Seeds community members?
No, it's kind of more like I don't like connecting to the different platforms that the citizens are already using, in a sense, than actually like requiring them to use the Seed forum. Like it's actually more inclusive.
More
in that
inclusive,
way.
more to have links.
Yeah, to meet the people where they are at, in a sense.
Yes.
Yeah. And maybe we could have like a different weight for people who are for interactions in the forum, may have different, like the official forum may have different weight than the interactions in the discourse, because the discourse is a lot more there are a lot more interactions there, in a sense. So but that's an interesting exploration to have, to think about.
Yeah, each of those things that is in section 1. That's in section 1 about individuals and organizations, the reputation that each one of those things is
a genuine job, but other people would accuse them of abusing the system, and they would say, "Oh, you're just giving jobs to your friends," and then you start getting like cliques. So I think it's super important to kind of, first of all, say that this can happen, and secondly, like create the sort of social cohesion so that everybody trusts each other, and thirdly, like we never really solved it, basically, but we didn't have that much social cohesion. It was all very much kind of text-based online stuff. We didn't have that many video calls, for example, so people didn't really know each other. So I think like trying to be transparent, trying to share like more of yourself, it seems like that's got nothing to do with like organizing the outer space, let's say, but I think it's actually really, really crucial that we all trust each other and we actually know a little bit about each other. And a lot of crypto projects are like trustless. That's just bullshit. You can't, unless it's just purely financial, you can't have a trustless crypto project. There's got to be loads of trust, otherwise you start getting these cliques and concentrations of power, and people start getting stuck in their little jobs, and they don't want to change, and they start liking getting money for stuff. So I don't know how that relates to this section, but I just wanted to kind of
quality process, becoming visitor and resident. I think we need to stay with that. We need just to make it in a way that also people who are not the best marketing or computer tech persons can still evolve in having the status of resident and citizen. So this would be my take on it.
Great.
I like that.
I like that. So I also feel the same. I think we could try and qualify a little bit more the upgrading to citizen. Maybe there could even be like three different colors of citizens. You want to become a really big citizen from the beginning, you can invite and make people, help people into residency. There are a few things we could do. Okay, guys, only 18 seconds. Rachel?
I don't know if I can say anything within 10 seconds. So I think what you guys are saying is great.
Okay, welcome back. I was inspired to share that the point of the breakout groups is for us to do general sense making. So what we're wanting to do is expand the conversation space within the breakout circles, and then use our collective intelligence to sift through it, find the most dense, harvest of information, and then bring it back to the whole. It's kind of how we fractal communication, and so we can have you guys get it. All right, so if you are sharing for your circle, put your hand up, and we will go on you one at a time. Did you all remember to assign someone to deliver your harvest?
Nope.
Anyway, we'll remember our patterns eventually. Just if you feel inspired, put your hand up, and whoever shares first for the circle, the person who didn't share, put it down. So cool. And as you guys are all doing that, we'll give it to Daya to take us off.
All right, thank you, Reiki. I will try to put video on, but if the connection doesn't allow it, I will put it back off. So yeah, we talked about the topic of badges. That at this point, badges are only possible within Haifa. So if you go for a badge, you need to go for votes on the Haifa thing. And we think it would be a good thing to have our own seats badge system as a way of reputation, a way also that others can see. For example, here for the Renaissance Explorers, I think it would be really cool if we would have a seats badge for it that could be voted in a way. And we can get very, very creative with a badge system. We can also call it differently than a badge even, I don't know. Like I like to go in maybe somehow magical realms like in computer games. But actually, no, we didn't talk about that in our group. I'm just thinking on right now. But no, to keep it brief, that we have our own seats badges for us would be a good development for section 1. Thank you very much.
And when you're done, you could pass it to the next, but Michael. Did you? Oh, you're still muted. There you
Sorry for that. I hope now, okay. So we were speaking about the flow from visitor, resident, and resident to citizen, and actually picking up on what was shared in the last session last week, that we find it would be a very good practice to give multiple options for people so that they don't have to fulfill the criteria that are right now in place. And we were also pointing at that particularly there was a lot of tension about the requirement of having to onboard another person for resident and then further to citizen, more people, so that we find ways that that those who are not these outgoing and easy kind of getting other people on board, that they have other qualities and that's honored, and that the contributions are also counted, and that we allow people in other ways also to evolve within the system. So if I forgot something, then please, Rachel and Javi, raise your hand. And I pass it on to Guy.
Thanks, Miguel. So yeah, basically our session was me dominating the conversation and and going on at length about trustless ways of working. So I was saying that basically for me the journey from visitor to resident to citizen can be improved, but I think the real challenge comes when people start working in a decentralized way. People start checking each other's work and this kind of thing, and then that's where if there is a lack of trust in the group, then you can start getting concentrations of power and cliques forming, and that's a really essential thing to try and make that visible that can happen. And the solution for that is building as much trust as possible among the group as a whole, but also the subgroups, the bioregions. Obviously, if people know each other in real life, it's a lot better. I think a lot of it comes from people thinking that crypto projects are trustless in some way, and if it's just financial transactions, then that's probably okay. But to build something different and something more regenerative, I think we need them to have much more trust rather than much less. So like in the default system, like if you're working with people, like spending time building a friendship with them, building trust with them, it's just kind of a waste of time because you're not being productive. That's like something you do in your leisure time, which has nothing to do with work. Whereas I think that's completely wrong. And if you want to build something really, really profound, something that really goes a long way, you need to build as much trust as possible. And it's not a waste of time to be vulnerable and share where you're really coming from and really get to know people in a deeper way. That's all part of the work, and include everything. I think that's the key, is include everything, include your whole life, include your whole being. And so I hope we can do better than the default way of doing things in this new system that we're creating. And I pass it on to Bart.
I have to say the 10 minutes were a bit short for us. We didn't really get to as far as we wanted to get, I guess. But we talked about reflecting on the different contribution scores there are. And I think it makes a lot of sense to just as the evolving from visitor to citizen to also make a deeper reflection on these scores. Yeah, now you have 5, and I was mostly thinking that it's quite a lot. And the community score to me was, I felt like maybe you can involve them in the general contribution or in the reputation score. Yeah, we were just reflecting on that, but we didn't really get to any conclusion. But I think there might be options there to reflect on that and see also how these scores can further evolve. But I keep it short. I think that's all I have to say about it. And then I pass it on to Lala Gardens.
Yeah, our group explored the transition from resident to citizen as well. And there was basically consensus around that it's a trust process, and that there's a difference whether you're looking to the game guide or you're looking to the passport. It's kind of a vehicle for onboarding people to that resident status, and that there's quite a bit of shepherding that's needed in addition. and that there is some success in linking that process to existing regenerative projects, so that the conversation, the trust building has to do with regenerative projects and putting context to what seeds is different from other cryptocurrencies, that there was an identification that there's something very unique and special about the seeds ecosystem, but that it's not necessarily the process to get from resident to citizen isn't necessarily transparent within the guide or even the passport, that really relies on building that the trust and the relationships. And so it'd be interesting to explore what mechanisms could be put in place to help people navigate that pathway. How about you, John? I hope I got everything. Anybody else in the group? If I didn't cover, let me know. John.
Okay. Let's see. I guess there are a few things that we were able to get to. One is, that the requirement for in the Constitution is really only two things for getting the citizen, and that is that you're a human being and that you only have one account that you're using inside Seeds as that human being, and that anything else that we put on is additional, and we may or may not, that the rationale for those are not necessarily explicit in the Constitution. The other thing is that once you start getting below just the top level 1.1, the journey requirements, and start looking at all the contribution score, reputation score, all of that they're, the way they're compiled and the way they're used has multiple implications throughout. It's not just about the visitor, resident, citizen journey. And maybe if we can kind of put that to one side and work on that, and then figure out how to generate all these different ways of measuring the trust. And then another thing we talked about was to make sure that we're not requiring people to use any particular platform for their interactions. People on Discord, people on Telegram, people are having their, and then as other people have talked about the localization of projects, people may be completely trusted in their, local Seeds environment and have no interaction on Discord whatsoever. So how do we account for that and make sure that, all contributions are counted, which somebody else brought up. So we acknowledge the complexity of the tasks that we've taken on here, and that's kind of as far as we got. Tyler or Apostol, anything to add to that? In which case, I'll pass it on to Alan.
Thank you, John. Well, I mean, in the end, of our 3 people, 2 people, including me, didn't have anything to share in such a short format that could be like relevant in any way, shape, or form. So instead, we got to know someone better. We got to know Jan better, which felt more valuable than just, I don't know, throwing out ideas that wouldn't have the time to really crystallize into anything. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say I'm proposing that we, as a Regenaissance universe, that's Seeds, Haifa, Samara as well, and perhaps new DHOs, really, really think about what call formats truly serve the purposes that we want from them. Like when we're sharing how we're doing, or when we're working, playing together. I think I think this entire universe needs to rethink that, because many of the calls that I'm on, they do not serve their purpose. Like, all they do is make another call necessary. And yeah, that's basically, that's what we kind of came to. Yes.
Real quick, do you feel like this call fits into that category?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, radical honesty. Yes.
Awesome.
Because many different things are coming up and they're relevant. So there is enough time to mention relevant things, but there is zero time to follow up on them together. And it just needs to move like to another call then, or needs to move to a Discord channel. So it just feels like there's so many things rushed from all of these groups at once that the value of the things that are being said within those groups is not really landing properly. Yeah. As an example, what John mentioned concerning this onboarding process that many people don't like, that you have to invite someone that you have to invite someone and they have to become a resident for you to move up to citizen. That's not new. That's been said, maybe even exactly on this call. That's been said like a week ago and 2 weeks ago. And it didn't land anywhere. Yeah, it's not like there's any person or group of people responsible for landing that. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's just the call itself isn't really serving its purpose, I would say. If John is bringing this up, I don't know, for the second time or the third time, and it's been brought up like for some weeks already. And not just this call. Like I said, this is Seeds, Samara, and Haifa. It's like there's lots for all of us to explore and think about here. Thank you for giving me so much time, everyone, and listening. I'm gonna quickly pass it on to Julio.
Thank you, Alan. Yeah, I was in the group already with Daya, and he kind of spoke most of the things already. So, but I wanted to also recognize what Alan just said, and but also to mention the thing that I wanted to mention. So, to quickly respond, Alan, I think we don't yet have the clarity on how to make proposals to change the guide. So we kind of started exploration groups. And so I think maybe the purpose of this call is to kind of envision what are the points to create exploration groups on, right? So we said, okay, we need an exploration group on the map from the journey from visitor to citizen, right? But what is the exploration group doing? So, okay, we create a forum post, but how are we delivering that to the guide? So we still don't have a clear process for that. And that's maybe what Apostol is going to offer on the second part of the call. And so maybe we need clarity on that. How do we make the changes, right? So we just go and edit the document, or we create a form, we fill a form. This is a proposal to change the guide. So here, start with the title and the short description. What is the tension originating the proposal, and what are the possible impacts in terms? Are you changing the passport? Are you changing the light wallet? Are you proposing changes to smart contracts? So do you have an idea of, what is the impact for this? So if you do, please type in, so this could be a way to do it. I don't say this is the right way, but this could be a way. And yeah, so, and regarding to that, maybe Apostol can, with the proposal that's coming to the co-op, this could be a way to deal with that tension. And regarding my own perspective that I wanted to bring regarding the transition from visitor to citizen, and actually the whole section 1 is about scores, right? Basically, reputation building and trust building and scores. And the transition from visitor to citizen is actually building up on those 4 scores, you know. So community building scores is when you invite people, you know, and reputation building is when you get vouched. And transaction scores is when you do a transaction. And then planting scores when you plant seeds. And that's the 4 kind of things that you are required to do to become, you know, to get more reputation, to get more trust. And so that's the kind of requirements for you to move from visitor to resident, and from resident to citizen. So basically what we're saying with the current exploration is, in order for you to become a citizen, you kind of have to get some scores, you know. So that's the vision behind the guide, I guess. So that's why we are asking for people to invite people, not because we want to do like a pyramid scheme, but in order to get you started on the contribution on community building score, right? And community building score is built by inviting people. So if we change this score, maybe we can change this path. So that's what I wanted to say regarding this. Thank you. And I pass on to maybe Apostol. You have your hands up.
Yeah, we talked a little bit with John about what would it take to actually have clear proposals on how to improve the visitor to citizen. And just for a bit, for like 2 minutes, and his like initial response was, okay, maybe if we have an exploration group and like 3 to 4 weeks focused work on that group, we could come up with some suggestions. So that's just a perspective of how much, maybe an initial reaction of such change, like the scope of such change, what kind of work it may need to take. I just wanted to put that as perspective in a sense.
Oh, wow. What I'm going to do real quick is, I feel like that needs to get grounded so I can do a quick response to a lot of the things that are brought up. They're captured in the document. And all of this is fantastic stuff. First, on community and, you know, building those authentic spaces of belonging where we're really meeting our needs and building the new Renaissance by living in it and kind of experiencing it real time, 100% yes to that. And then what I think this kind of shifts from looking like is it's a community of practice. We need to practice different ways of actually relating and doing things in order to be living in that new world. And we have to unlearn a lot of patterns, which weaves into something else that was just brought up with Max or Alan. I forgot who brought it up. I think Alan. But it's about self-organization, you know, who does something. You mentioned, you know, somebody brought something up 3 times. Well, the idea of self-organization is that if you see something that you feel is a tension that you need to solve, then it's actually, you're the one that's then responsible for solving that. Because there's nobody else in the community to do what you are signaling, right? Unless there is somebody else explicitly doing that, and then you could bring it up to them. But then what's beautiful about that is then they get to decide based on what you said, if it's worthy for them to follow through with it or not. So now it doesn't look like we're bosses, you know, telling people what to do, or instead is we're peers and we're needing to inspire change. You know, if you're not a developer, but you want a certain piece of code to be built, you know, I'm living this every day. I've got to inspire developers to build the code that I want to see. You know, that's how I have to do it because I can't build the code. I can't tell any developer to do it either because we create an organization where we don't tell each other what to do. So, you know, it changes how we actually communicate with each other, which isn't what we're usually taught in the old system, right? The old system are taught, you know, command and control. But then we're also taught to give away our power, you know, and expect someone else to pick up stuff for us. And I think that's why so many groups are so ineffective at moving things forward, because someone will signal something and they get frustrated when the thing that they were signaling isn't getting moved forward. But, you know, whose responsibility is it to move it forward? Well, if you're signaling it, then it's probably important to you. And if it's not important enough for you to follow through with it, then it's probably not important enough for somebody else to follow through with it. So like, that's how we like, you know, we already gauge that. If you think it's meaningful, then inspire others to do it if you can't, or follow through with it yourself. And then we spend so much more time, you know, acting and doing, which is why we call it do a do. It's because it's all about doing. It's not quite there yet because we're having to learn how to do self-organization, but that's part of the practice. And we can't practice something unless we're actually practicing it. So if we show up and we practice the old way of organizing, where we signal and we don't do and wait for others to tell us something to do, then we're not actually learning the new system. We have to practice. We're going to stumble at first. There's going to be a lot of stuff, I promise you, that we do that doesn't get enacted. And I know that's a lot of frustration too, where it's like you put in a lot of energy to do something and then the community votes it down. You're like, damn it. You know, I wish they would have told me they wanted this first, but you know, that's kind of the downside of this. Everything has a trade-off. It's here, we're going to act a lot more. We're going to produce a lot more. There's going to be a lot more growth, but some of that growth is not going to be accepted. But anyway, that's something I feel like we can continue exploring here. So if you see something, act it out. If you're doing that often, then fill a role and start getting compensated for doing that often. And if you start doing that, you know, full time, then great, upgrade your role and start doing this full time, you know. If you aren't doing this full time, you're just doing it partially. You mentioned capturing all forms of, you know, contributions. We're doing that with gratitude. I think it's underutilized right now, but I definitely think we can start using it a little bit more. So we already have it on Discord and Telegram. So people who are showing up there and contributing, if you see a contribution, throw them some gratitude. That's literally the entire point of that. So people get to show up, contribute in whatever way feels right to them. And then other people could be like, yes, we love that contribution. Here's some gratitude. Those contributions can be organized on Telegram. We already have the gratitude bot up there. It could be organized in Discord. We already have the gratitude bot. So what we just need to do is work out and test that. And once we see those flows and they're working really well, let's make sure we're really funding the gratitude account so that it's giving a, you know, a meaningful amount of seeds out to people for contributions, which is what we want to do seeds wide, right? And every organization can stack on top of this. So every time someone gives you gratitude, you might earn gratitude from or seeds from the whole system, but then you might earn tokens from within Renaissance Explorers. If two people in Renaissance Explorers send gratitude to each other, we might also then send, you know, Renaissance Explorer tokens for that contribution. So organizations can start using that model too to just recognize everything that's happening, right? Different badges. So this is another huge thing is I think since there was only one thing to really do in seeds, which is go from visitor to citizen. So I think we hyper-focused on that being the point. I don't think that's the point. I think the point is to build a regenerative civilization. So something we're launching right now is like the game of seeds, where there's a lot more stuff to do in the passport. But I think each organization can start building their own badges. So Renaissance Explorers can start building some badge that's, you know, our Renaissance Explorer badge. Like, so then people get to show up, and now instead of just becoming a citizen, they can take the Renaissance Explorer course and, you know, become a Renaissance Explorer, or they can take the Ambassador course, or anyone can make a different course that they want to bring out and, you know, earn badges for it. And then what we get to do is Renaissance Explorers, we can create a badge, issue it from our own due, which is how we're going to issue badges here. And then we can petition seeds with a referendum to say, hey, we have this Renaissance Explorer badge, and we think that if you hold this, you get a 2% bonus in voice. And we petition that to the citizens, and they're like, yep, you know, we really trust you. You guys are doing great stuff. We want to give you a 2% bonus of your voice. You know, yes, cool. If you're holding that badge, you get a bonus in voice and seeds, right? So that we can mint whatever badges we want, but then we still have to make a proposal for seeds to say that that badge is meaningful or not. But then any organization can start doing this, and we can have a cacophony of badges and different things that people can earn and use to upgrade themselves in seeds. So I don't think we need to put too much focus on the visitor to citizen flow. The biggest part of that in my mind is to say, one, do you have skin in the game? Because if you're going to be governing this thing, you got to have something at stake. You know, if you can come in here and not have any stake at risk and you can start making decisions, I think that makes for a broken system. I think we still need, you know, you have something in the game in order to govern it. Two, defense against bots. That's a huge thing we need to be mindful of. And if we're not, we're going to have a really hard time. So that's why inviting others is a part of it, is because you have to send seeds to another account. So it starts becoming really expensive because they can lose reputation if one bot is found. So then all their accounts will get locked down, and then they'll lose all the seeds that had to send to invite people, right? And we can increase the citizen stake too. So I mean, maybe that's even $200. So the cost of setting up a bot network is going to be a minimum, like I think $300 was the math or whatever. If seeds are $1 in order to continue setting up extra bots. So it's a huge disincentive to do that when it requires an invite. But then normally you're just inviting your friend and you get to send them a gift and they get to come in and you can earn a referral and everyone's happy. So it's good for good people, but really bad for bad actors. You guys said so many good things. I just feel like I want to respond, but I also want to give some time to Apostol. So I'll be really quick, I promise. One comment on trust lists. The idea of trust lists, at least in my world, isn't that we don't trust each other. It's that we don't have to trust an intermediary with our value. You know, what's trustless is we can make a decision and we don't have to actually trust a developer to enact it. If we say we want to change that setting, it can happen automatically. And we don't need to trust Nick to change the setting anymore. You know, it's trustless because we can actually see how votes are happening. We don't have to trust a machine or a politician to say the votes were counted correctly. We can look on chain and be like, yep, I see my vote. I see all these other votes. There's no fake votes here. We can see ourselves. We don't need to trust it. So I think it kind of gets, you know, a little bit confused. We have trustless systems, but we need to build deeply trustful communities. And we actually get more trust because of those trustless systems. You know, we can start trusting each other more because we can see what's happening. If I know factually that you're not getting paid, anyway, it doesn't matter. You guys get it. I think that's everything. That's kind of everything I wanted to bring up. The big thing I kind of just want to keep harping on here is that idea of self-organization. So if showing up in Renaissance Explorers is something you really want to do and you want to take on a role, send a message to either Anna, if you want to do it for storytelling, Julio, if you want to do it for this outer space side, or Justin, if you want to do it for the inner space. If you really want to hold a position there and do some routine contributions, we're looking to build out our crew. Maybe I wasn't supposed to say that, so anyway. Strike that from the record. I'm just kidding. Cool. We have about 35 minutes left. I know Apostol wanted to go over some things. So epic harvest, everyone. I've captured it in the doc below. Let's continue to have these conversations and discourse. Final piece, Julio, you asked, how do we actually go through the process? This is what it looks like. You have an idea, you want to change the visitor to citizen flow. Cool, come up with an idea, bring it to discourse, say, here's my idea, does anyone want to improve it? If people improve it or not, doesn't matter. Come up with a proposal, you're like, this is what I want to change. Bring it to the Renaissance Explorers conversation. That's what the space was at the beginning of this call and every call, is if you have something you want to get a consent approval on. So you could say, here's my proposal to change this section. Does anyone block this? And if no one has any blocks to say that's harmful, then we're going to update the game guide. And then it'll be some editor's job, if you take on the editor position, to be like, yep, noted, we passed this, we're going to update the game guide and I'll make sure that happens. So that's the process of how we can, pass things forward. So if anyone says like, hey, I brought something up 3 times, I'm just going to look at you being like, and where's the proposal? That was rude, or was it? I don't know. What do you guys think? Does that make sense? Does that flow feel right? Is there anything broken about it? Okay, got a lot of hands up. We'll hit these hands and then we'll pass it to Apostol. So you've got your hand up as well. So when you go last, Apostol, then you can just take it over from there. So Jao, I'll give it to you first, and then Julio, and then Apostol.
Okay, I'm gonna be quickly. I sense that I'm missing. It's maybe after these meetings we could use the forum in a way that more properly, like addressing for the outer space. Like I just put the link there, and we are not using when it should be like something from the game guide. We use the forum as the section 1 about section 1.1 and outer space, and we put the feedbacks there in the forum and put the sections by sections in the forum. I believe going to be more easy to be discussed and creating more sense making. And another thing, it's about something that I want to share. Maybe I just make a draw about some of the spaces that we have about the rifle, and I believe that even in the 3 spaces that we have in the inner, outer, and the storytellers, I sense that when we sense that when we see that we are going to the same direction, this is something about that could be a decision, even from Haifa MBC or other CHOs and in the Renaissance Explorers, reading some more than only inside the Renaissance Explorers, we be more aligned with the whole ecosystem. We should be some connecting with the lab from the NBC, Paula, and other things. And yeah, I'm very interested to make this as a DHO for Renaissance Explorers to really explore something more overview about what we are addressing here, even if the explorers are doing something only for the game guide, or we can explore something from the whole ecosystem that we are seeing, and then this be condensing and filtering by the sections itself for us to do this bridge. And yeah, I think it's that. Thank you.
Can I go?
Yep.
All right. So, yeah, regarding the process that you mentioned, Reiki, I mean, this is the way we thought it could work, but the problem is we don't have clarity, at least for instance, on how to write a proper proposal and how to get this consent on the proposal. For instance, on the forum, people are writing proposals on the exploration groups category, and there is no actionable items on the proposal, for instance. And so we kind of didn't provide like a way to communicate better for the change to be effective. So that's one of the things. And the second one is how to get the change approved, you know. And then we have this concept of chapter editors on the core group, people that are editors for each of the 4 sections, actually 5 now we have section 0. And so I think the proposal that Apostol is bringing is also having more clarity to that. And so the problem with the current way is that there is no clarity on how to create a proposal. What are the exploration groups doing, how they are operating, and how they generate this proposal, and how the proposal is voted on then, and how is that translated into the document. So that's maybe that is contributing to this sense that nothing is kind of progressing and things are being shown and nothing is being changed. So that's why we need this clarity, and the proposal is probably going to help on that. So it's my contribution.
Okay, now just a quick feedback on that. I think that right now we're like reading the game guide and talking about it a little bit, but the whole conversation lacks depth, in a sense, like people like really going deep and understanding the system, and like deep enough so they can like actually either change it, improve it, or just create a sense-making document which explains why this is the best structure and how like maybe different structures are more suboptimal. Maybe something like what Reiki did right now, just explaining things that are not like that he understands very well because he's doing this for 3 years, and maybe we don't know them because we haven't been doing it for 3 years. Anyway, I will start sharing the screen for my presentation about the co-proposal now. Is that okay? Yeah, okay, go. So, co-proposal. We're going to be asking seeds for funding for like paying everyone in the journey for the journey in order to basically facilitate more more depth, more conversations, more engagement in the exploration groups and all that. In my proposal, the way I've seen it, I have 4 points. One is, I call it seed power for explorers, which is a structure for basic income for everyone who participates in exploration groups. The second one is proposal 111. That comes from initial idea from Daya. And the idea is to have a pool of seeds from which everyone could be able to take for whatever creative ideas they come up with. And the only way that they would, 3 people would basically be able to confirm, and then the person would get the seeds if the 3 people like consider this a very good idea. The third one is creating, incentivizing the creation of art for the Renaissance explorers. So it's something that we started doing at the beginning, but then last month we kind of like stopped doing it. And I want to have like an incentive structure, for example, 500 to 1,000 seeds for each art piece that is created. And then the fourth is a research and incubation fund for 5 to 10 projects that would really want to create meaningful change in seeds, prototype DHOs and that kind of stuff. I'll get into each one right now. So the first one is seeds power for explorers. So the idea is to create exploration groups, and each exploration group would have like a leader who is organizing the group space and communicating with chapter editors. That is codename Ego, and then an participant or exploration group game changer, we call them, who is participating, proposing changes, learning by doing, and engaging with integrity. These are the 2 kind of roles that we see. Like also like the wolves would have to go at the moon at least once a month, and the eagles would have like to fly or something at least once for the 3 months anywhere. Anyway, I'm just joking. Just the second one is proposal 111. So what it is, there are 500 units of value, and one unit of value may be 1 hour or 1 act of kindness or whatever. We choose what 1 unit of value means and what it is, but we have basically 5,000 units of value each in 111 seats, and everyone, we need to choose if everyone from Renaissance Explorers or everyone in total in seats can participate. And if you get 3 confirmations from Renaissance Explorers members, you get this 111, or if you take 3 times, if you like took 3 hours to do something. So it's very open in a sense. It's kind of an experiment in collective stewardship. Some of these values and principles are to cut the connection between USD seeds. So you basically, it's a flat 111 seed. And when it goes up in the next weeks, you get more value. And if you keep it, it gets even more value. So if you keep it until the seeds, or 1 seed becomes $1, that would basically be $101 to $111 per hour of a consulting fee that you've done, which is like, anyway, just a way to make sense of it. We also want to kind of cut the connection between production and value. So this exceeds Powerful Explorers is it's still very focused on producing the game guide and improving on it. It's focused on production. And we want to have this space to be just open for any type of creative contribution, and just see what kind of sparks will come up as a result of that. some ideas that I have is like go to the market and try to buy 1 kilogram of tomatoes for 111 and then again refurbished for that, and or meditate on a rock for 1 hour and yeah, like stay up all evening or like anyway, the idea is to incubate really interesting and creative ways. The third point is creating art for the Renaissance explorers. So it's 500 to 1,000 seeds per art piece. The art should be created either on the coast or with the intent of like contributing to the Renaissance explorer space. And all these arts, beautiful, are ones that we created like in May, I think. And there are a bunch of things that we could create around that, like create NFTs or create galleries for the visual journey. I think it's a great idea. And then the fourth point is to have a research and incubation fund where there are 5 or 10 projects for teams with 50 to 100K seeds per project for between 1 and 3 months. That would bring a concrete value and change to the seeds ecosystem. It could like research new governance structures, DHO prototypes. We could create software. We could actually open this up to the whole seeds community and just see if people are, what kind of projects will people want to fund with it. We have to create a process for approval, and if we actually like come up with some ideas right now, I have a bunch, but I don't want to share them. I want to see what we collectively come up with in that. And some challenges that I wrote. For example, our calculation right now is about 3,333 seeds per moon cycle per person. That is for this project. I want to like have an input if that is enough. Like, do you guys feel that is enough for participating exploration groups? Then the second point is how do we get the funding for the proposal, because there is a risk of actually failing with the proposal if the seeds community decides that, okay, we don't want to give you that amount of seeds. We could burn around 42 to 50,000 seeds, and that is a risk. We may ask the community fund, but also we could crowdsource it for 42 people with 1,000 seeds. I don't know, we may think about that. Then another challenge is how do we track the contributions for proposal 111? Maybe we would need to create software. The basic structure is maybe have a spreadsheet and start from there. And the other question is, are we open to starting with the structure right away, even though the proposal is just will come up right now and would need 1 month to approve, and would need, like, we would have to hold the risk of actually engaging with all these activities without knowing if they are going to be paid by seeds, in a sense. But I think we could use this time, 1 month, in order to like really step up our game and start contributing. That is everything that I have prepared. So right now I propose we maybe go into 4 different groups that is exploring the 4 different points and have some sense making and harvest about each one of them. I think that there is like the research incubation fund has the least amount of clarity, so I'll probably be there. Maybe Daya can be in proposal 111 group, and yeah, Julio can be in the Seeds Power for Explorers group, and I don't know wants to be in the art, or whether we should have art at all, because like it's like I don't think we have a lot of converse about the art. I think everyone likes it and wants to see it happen in a sense. We have about 15 minutes.
Well, what we can do then is we can dive right into those breakout groups that you set up, which are the 4 topics. So we'll have 10 minutes in the breakout groups. We'll try to do a quick harvest. Over there. Julia, you had something real quick?
Yeah, can you create the 4 groups and allow people to join them if they want to select which one they want to join?
Yeah.
Do you know how to do that?
Could you share your screen again that shows the 4 categories?
Sure, yeah. Here it is.
So we're just going to do this real easy. You know, room 1 is for the first proposal, etc. So I'm going to open up 4 rooms.
Yeah, room 1 is seeds power, room 2 proposal 111, room 3 is creating art, and room 4 is research and incubation fund. So if you maybe name that, or maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 is fine.
Can I rename them? I don't know how to name them, whatever. So the 4 rooms are up. You should be able to join them now. If you want me to send you to a room, just unmute yourself and tell me which room you want to go to.
I have a question. Which one is addressed for the exploration groups? Like creating exploration group.
The first one.
Yeah, Apostol, if you could just stay a little bit longer and keep your screen shared so that people can see it.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, I'll go.
Hi, I'm driving, so just put me in whichever group and I'll try and be involved.
So just give you a random one. Done.
Yeah.
Creating art.
Yep. Good.
All right. Does anyone else want me to send them somewhere?
Yeah, I guess put me in group 1, John.
Yep, done.
You can put me into the second one, 111.
Okay.
Board.
Anybody else? Do you want to just have this random group? If we don't feel like going anywhere, we can have a different conversation.
Yeah, why not?
But if anyone wants me to send you to a room, let me know. If you want to just, yeah. So the one's leaving anyway, so. Yeah, epic proposal there, Apostol. First time I'm seeing it, and I think it's awesome. So yeah, I love it.
Thank you.
Together.
Yeah.
And I just sent you 50,000 seeds, so because I know it's just a few days before we need to have it in. So if we crowd whatever, I think that's cool. But you know, I'm happy floating it and.
Okay.
In like text.
So you're covering that. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for that.
Yeah. We'll just hopefully get them back.
Yeah. I'll try my best to to get them back, right?
Awesome. All right, cool. So
okay. I'm going into room 4.
Cool.
And see you in a bit.
Hey, Reiki.
Just a follow up to that. In section 1, I don't see how you can you can craft proposals in different subsections because it's all interrelated. If you make it, So if you make a change in the way reputation score is put together, the group that's working on how many points are given to a reputation for voice, and I mean all of those things change too. So yeah, I don't know. Somebody, I think it was Apostol, talked about needing a really deep understanding to even propose changes, because there's going to be unintended consequences of making an isolated change, and a danger of sub-optimizing and creating problems elsewhere. I don't know how to guard against that, but I bring it up because I've seen it happen in so many processes that I've facilitated in the past.
That's a very good point, by the way. And yeah, definitely there can be, most of the proposals probably are going to be impacting many sections, right? So maybe if the proposal is centered towards one section, it's easier. You just have to talk with one chapter editor. But if it's impacting all the 4 chapters, maybe you need a wider set of approvals for it to be approved, because the idea is that the proposal itself contains an impact mapping. So for instance, is this change going to change that we are proposing? Is that going to need the passport to be changed? It's a piece of software. It requires money to be changed, right? So are we changing smart contracts? Yes. So this requires money also. So for the group should at least have a general idea of how much impact they believe the proposal is going to cause. And if they don't have any idea, they can talk to the chapter editor and try to get that idea before the proposal is started, it's submitted, I mean. So that's a very good point. If the proposal can have more impact than just a single session, the groups don't have to be tied to a single session. They can be on any part of the guide. But the outcome probably has to need alignment from many editors. So that's a good point.
So that makes the role of the chapter editor critical, absolutely critical. The chapter editor be able to spot deficiencies in the impact mapping. Okay, that's enough from me. I'll let other people. Miguel.
Guy, you had a question or a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, it's always a balance between the people who put a lot of work in to understand how the entire system works, and then someone else comes in and says, like, this person always gets to make changes. Yeah, because that person spent a whole year understanding the entire system, and now they can make changes. And you spent, half an hour reading one thing or watching one video. But at the same time, it can also, this has happened with Wikipedia, I think, that like the editors become like totally entrenched in their positions, and they just like say, like, anybody else who's got an idea, I'm not going to listen to you, because you can't possibly have spent as much effort and time as I have understanding the entire system. And then it becomes like it starts to become decadent and kind of starts to lose vitality. So it's always got to be a balance between this kind of the people that have put the most work in have the most responsibility and are rewarded the most, but also not to allow that to become like a solidified structure where we're just repeating the patterns of the old institutions, which just exist to perpetuate themselves.
Welcome to the governance problem of societies, the human societies of the 21st century.
Well, yeah, I'm very familiar with it already, so that's why I say.
Yeah, just for clarity, Guy, so the section editors, they are only valid until the game guide is submitted for referendum. So after it becomes like a constitution. After that, the editors, they have no more power. We are just editing this for the first version. After this is done, we deliver, and the idea is that after that, only constitutional guardians can propose. I mean, they can accept referendums to change the rules. So the process changes a little bit after the first referendum. So, but that's a also very important remark, that we need to be mindful that these editors will have a lot of power, especially if the process is that they have the power to approve or reject a proposal. So that could be a change. Miguel, I'm sorry, we have only 25 seconds, and if you wanted to maybe share something in this, yeah. All right, thank you all. Then let's reconvene. See you soon.
Reiki, you're muted.
You're muted, Reiki.
Aha! Okay, so I'm going to grab the space real quick to share something that I feel like is really important. And that's version 1.0 of a process for how to get a proposal passed here. So I'll take this to the forum and we can discuss the process itself. But here's the idea: is you sense attention yourself about something you'd like to change. You know, open a discussion and discourse. Come up with a proposal, engage with the community. Great. Are you happy with what happened there? And you feel like, yep, I got the information I wanted. Then bring that same proposal or the updated one to the Seeds forum so that we have one, a record of it, which will be great. And then two, to engage the citizens if you want. This one might be optional. We'll see how it goes. Then you upgrade your proposal. Are you happy? Cool. Then you sign off on tech. You've got to do this at some point. Maybe you want to do it earlier or later, but actually talk with one of the tech holders. That's Julio or Nick right now, to find out if this is even possible. Unless you already know what it is, if it's like a settings change, great. But if it's a totally new piece of code or a new way of doing things, you want to get them to be like, yep, one, we can afford to do this, and two, this is practical. After that, you'd go and sign off on the chapter editor, and they would have a better understanding also of the chapter to see if this is going to break something. If we change this piece, what type of other impacts might it have? These are things that a chapter editor is going to start to understand. If the chapter editor is like, yep, then you take it to the whole RE group at the beginning of one of these calls, and you say, here's my proposal. It's got these sign-offs. This is what I shifted. You're going to kind of tell your story. And if the RE group's like, yep, we consent, or if nobody blocks, then we just update the section in the game guide. What we're doing right now is if we don't change anything that's not active, a lot of the game guide right now isn't actually in process. So we don't need to run a referendum to change something that's not already being used with the citizens right now. But for example, all of the governance pieces are currently being used. So if we want to change anything dealing with governance, we need to make a referendum to the citizens first before updating the game guide. So that would be an extra step right here, is referendum if needed. So yeah, it's kind of a longer process. It's a little bit meticulous. It's great. And I think each step of the way, we're going to get better proposals. The idea is probably going to do this with a lot of different proposals, but it's going to give us a game guide that's really firm and I guess battle tested in a way before we actually propose that. Okay, cool. That's everything I wanted to share there. And let's do a quick round of harvest from the sections. So there's 4 of them, if anyone wants to put their hand up. And we can try to do just like 30 seconds to a minute of what you have, and then share whatever else you want with Apostol directly or in one of our lovely chat groups. Julio.
Yeah, so basically we had the 3 main comments on the first part of the proposal regarding the seeds power to exploration groups. One of the comments was that we definitely need to tie the funds to a kind of a deliverable in a sense, so to have in a way that the exploration groups are actually delivering, right? So, and this is not clear, at least wasn't clear in the presentation, but the idea is that the exploration groups have to come up with a proposal. That's the intention of the group, right? Even if the proposal doesn't get approved, the idea is that they exist to create a proposal, and that's why they're being paid, and doing the work. And so, and then we need the process to get the proposal approved, and maybe that's what Reiki was showing, and we kind of had some of that in the proposal as well. And then we talked about the challenge of having game chapter editors holding so much power. In a way, if they are the ones that are going to approve the changes, they are going to have a lot of power like Wikipedia, and that's very dangerous. So maybe we could steer away from that, and also say that if we have constitutional guardians after the game guide is approved through referendum, then these editors will not have any more power anymore to change the guide, because the guide will become, like constitution, and it needs voting for a referendum for changes. And then there was the last part, about maybe a bonus for an exploration group that has a proposal approved. So I think this was intended on the first version of this co-op proposal, but I'm not sure if that was removed or not. But just to remember that it would be great to incentivize people crafting amazing proposals and putting a lot of heart and mind into that. So maybe a bonus for past proposals. Yeah, I think that's all. Did I miss something?
Yeah, one quick thing was I found really important the idea of each proposal has to include an impact mapping. That if we change this, that means this changes, that changes, this changes, and that changes, and it requires this technology and that much development of software, allocation of budget, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, definitely the editor should have at least some knowledge on that. Otherwise, there should be this sign-off from tech that Reiki mentioned, that if the impact involves software changes, you need to check on that. Yeah. So that's it for group one.
Anything quick for?
So group, no, sorry. We're already over time, or?
Yeah, we are. So happens every week. We can close now. If you have to go, please go. And then we can just take 3 more minutes, absolute maximum, to do the last 2 groups and then close out.
Yeah, we were only 3 in the group. I would say I don't know if proposal 111 is very successful. And yeah, I will try in the coming days and weeks to give more notice about it, or to explain myself what I want to say with what I want to reach with it. I had a really great talk with Tina about it. So yeah, let's see what happened in room 3.
Yeah, room 3, I went in there because Rachel was stuck inside, so otherwise there was no one really there. And so there's not much to say about this. Javier joined us as well. And yeah, I think we all were a little bit like, it's very unclear. The whole thing is not quite clear yet. So there needs to be more understanding generally to this. That's it.
Just a clarifying question. Which part is not clear, about the art or everything?
Yeah, I mean, I have the pleasure of already knowing most of that stuff. So for me, it was okay. But that everything, basically, how everything plays together, and yeah. But okay, also, yeah, especially the arts, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I found it quite clear. I think we were just kind of commenting on the whole thing and seeing how we described the section each other, so that we could agree. Yeah, okay, that's what I understood. That's what I understood. Yeah, I think it's more or less clear. Rachel, do you think you're clear?
Anyway,
we need to go.
Okay. Yeah.
Hurry up.
All right. Well, we'll do a quick one from the last group.
Yeah. Room 4 was basically what kind of research projects could we have? For example, I know, like I've heard that other DHOs outside of seats, for example, are using conviction voting. So we could have like a research position for someone to go and really understand conviction voting, and then come here and like create a proposal of where can we actually implement conviction voting in order to upgrade some of our systems, make them better. That could be one research. Another could be if someone wants to research a DHO and then want to work, for example, for 1 month or 2 months in order to like experiment with creating a DHO, they could like apply for that fund, and 50 or 100,000 seats. So they could like actually have that resources available. So I also want to ask, does anyone want to have like a separate call just for that sometime in the next few days, tomorrow or maybe on Thursday? Just thumbs up. Yeah, everyone, a lot of people. Okay, so I will arrange that and put it in the calendar.
Awesome. Zhao, real quick, what do you got?
I have some questions because I don't know if it's regards for the incubation and research, but as Paulo is doing the lab and Samara this, I believe the connections, how to make these connections and the triangle that I was doing is something that could be explored inside these incubation researches, and I could make some gathering the people that's interested about that, and making the inner sense making of the city ecosystem for us to create purpose for the Renaissance explorers. It's something I want to.
Epic. We are 7 minutes over, so thank you all. I will let you all run now, just to try to honor it. So unmute yourselves. You could say random noises and scream and yell if you'd like, or just say goodbye, kind of. And we will see you all.
Booba, booba, booba.
Random noises. It's a real jingle.